Okay, gentlemen, we are take a look on 446. So the Torah says that we're talking about the ark again. So Torah says, again, I'm reading it from Pasuk Yud, 2 lines in. So we said that the Aron Kodesh represents Torah. Obviously, the Torah is the Luchos are in the Aron Kodesh, and the Torah is in the Aron Kodesh. Now, what's interesting is that you have in the Beis Hamikdash each one of the items symbolize something. You know, maybe we could turn off the heat. I think we better turn off the heat. Each one of the utensils symbolize something. So the Aron Kodesh, we said, symbolizes Torah, obviously. The altar represents the kahuna. The golden altar represents the kahuna, the kohanim. Everybody take a chumash. There should be plenty of chumashim, guys. Follow inside. And the shulchan, which was the table with the showbread on it, which represents the kingdom of the Jewish people. So there's prosperity and there's kahuna. Now, what about the menorah? What does the menorah symbolize? So we said yesterday that the menorah itself, you know, the menorah is one of with the branches and the lights coming out. The menorah, we said yesterday, also symbolizes light, the clarity of wisdom, which is Torah. So now it becomes a question, why is it that you have 2 utensils that symbolize Torah? You have the Aron Kodesh, the Holy Ark, and you have the menorah. Why do you need 2 utensils to symbolize Torah? Whereas kingdom gets 1 and kahuna gets 1. Why does the menorah get, why are there 2 utensils for Torah? So the obvious answer is, well, there are two aspects of Torah, which is Torah, written Torah, very good. Torah, written Torah, the oral Torah. Remember the famous case of the convert who came to Hillel, the Gemara says, and he said, I believe you, how many Torahs do you have? He said, I have 2 Torahs. We have the written Torah and the oral Torah. He says, I believe you about the written Torah, and I don't believe you about the oral Torah. And so Hillel decided to teach him the oral Torah. And he said, teach me the oral. So he started teaching him. He said, Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Daled. Remember we spoke about that? Hillel said to him, this is an Aleph, there's a Beis, there's a Gimel, there's a Daled. And then the next day, when he came back for the second lesson, he said, he reversed it. He said, this is a Daled, a Gimel, a Beis, and an Aleph. He said, but that's not what you told me yesterday. He says, well, you trusted what I said yesterday, so trust me when I tell you there's an oral Torah. Now, what was Hillel really saying to him? What was Hillel really saying to the guy? He was saying to the guy, of course, why did you trust me? You trusted me because no way of reading letters without somebody telling you what the letter is. You can't read a letter and have the letter teach you that Aleph until you know what an Aleph is. You can't read it. So the same way that obviously the letters had an oral, everything's got an oral Torah. There's got to be, not only that, everything, I told you, everything in life has an oral Torah. Because in every Jewish home, there's some sort of appliance which only works based on the oral Torah. Because your washing machine only works if you wedge a comb between the second and third buttons, which nobody will know. That's the oral Torah. The written instructions say push the button, but that doesn't work in a Jewish home. No way. You've got to wedge in a comb. And the microwave only works when your 14-year-old is home because he's the only one who knows that you got to kind of close it and click it with your elbow at the same time to get it to work. That's oral Torah. When you play Monopoly, so free parking is what happens on free, according to the written Torah, what happens in free parking? Nothing. You don't even lose a turn. Nothing happens. But everybody's got an oral tradition on free parking. What money goes in there? We're Jewish. We're not going to waste the space on the board. I paid for the set. I'm not wasting that space. So there's got to be an oral Torah. So the oral Torah itself, the Torah itself has to have. There's got to be an oral Torah. That's what Hillel was telling him. So the menorah, the written Torah, is the Aron Kodesh. Where does it go? Where does the Aron Kodesh go? In the Holy of Holies, where it's totally inaccessible, because the written Torah is inaccessible. The written Torah is inaccessible. What about the oral Torah? The oral Torah, we're learning Gemara. Don't you come up with your own ideas and your own novel interpretations, as long as they obey a certain system of rules, but we're meant to innovate when it comes to the oral Torah. So the menorah, which is outside of the Holy of Holies, represents the light that comes from the study of Torah, which is the oral Torah. But the written Torah, the luchos, that's not to be tampered with. The blue book, this is the written Torah, the blue book, that goes into the Holy of Holies. That's why there are two utensils that represents the written Torah and the oral Torah, number one. Number two, there's an idea that there are two aspects to a Torah scholar. One aspect of a Torah scholar is to become the Torah scholar. How does he become a Torah scholar? He's got to be hidden away in a beis medrash, studying Torah for many, many years. And then his light has an effect on the entire community. How did Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky become Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky? Because Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky sat and learned and learned and learned. Most of the day he was away from the public, just sitting and learning and learning and learning. And eventually he becomes the one who shines the biggest light on the people. And all the Gedolei Torah, that's how they got there. They got there by being hidden away in a beis medrash. So sometimes people feel that, well, they should be giving to the community, but sometimes their ability to give, you've heard of the Chazon Ish, right? You've heard of everywhere the Chazon Ish was the undisputed leader of the Torah world when he was alive. Very few people knew who the Chazon Ish was until he was about 50, in his mid-50s. Until his mid-50s, he lived in Vilna, and he stayed alone in a room, and he studied Torah virtually all day, 24 hours a day. Only when he first came to Israel, when he finally came to Israel in his mid-50s, then he started taking over as the leadership of the Jewish people. But first you have to develop it in order to get there. A guy wants to be a brain surgeon, you're going to have to spend a lot of time studying till you go to 6 years of medical school, and then your residency, and then your training, and then specializing. And how long does it take to become a brain surgeon? You must spend about close to 20 years before you start tampering with people's brains. You don't just let a guy in. A guy studied for a few weeks and read a medical journal, and you're not going to let him start surging. The Torah is very much the same way, number one. Then it says, on the four corners, this is what we spoke about yesterday, on the four corners of the Aron Kodesh, v'yitzakta lo arba tabozov, there are going to be rings, 4 rings around the Torah. Now, around the ark. You can see it in the picture over here, right where the poles go in. We're going to talk about the poles in a second. But you see that the rings, what do the rings represent? When you think of a ring, what does a ring represent? You know what a galgal is in Hebrew? What's a galgal? A wheel. It's an interesting word because the word wheel, galgal, is gimel lamed, galgal, which is really a word that repeats on itself. It's galgal, which is exactly what a wheel does. You see that the Lashon HaKodesh is the essence. The word is defined by the very spelling. Now, a gal is a wheel, which means it's an endless cycle. What is a gal, by the way? Well, just the word gal. What is a gal? Anybody know? Wave. It's a wave. Very good. What is it? And what is the nature of waves? The wave. What's the nature of it? They keep coming at you. So a wheel is a gal. It's like the waves that come here. Don't you guys ever surf? Haven't you ever surfed? You never went surfing? Like when I used to surf, so you have to catch, you have to catch that wave. And I'm the guy in that hole that you see just kind of standing there like that, and then the shark comes and you just poke him in the nose, that sort of thing. So what do you call it? I have stood up in a bathtub. I don't know if that counts. So that's called a gal. A gal is a wave, and the waves keep coming. So a gal is a wheel. Now watch this. It's an incredible idea. The circles on the edge of the Aron Kodesh represent the endless reward that a person who studies Torah will get in the world to come. It's endless. It's like a circle. It's an endless reward in the world to come. If you look at the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, the Mishnah says that you should schar mitzvah. Did you ever hear that idea? The reward for a mitzvah is a mitzvah. Now what does that mean? The reward for a mitzvah, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says that mitzvah goreres mitzvah, one mitzvah drags along another mitzvah, and schar mitzvah, and the reward for a mitzvah is a mitzvah. So what does it mean, mitzvah goreres mitzvah? When you do a mitzvah, mitzvahs have a way of dragging along another mitzvah. For example, today there's going to be a Pidyon haben. There's going to be a redemption of the firstborn. which Tyler and I are going to do together, with one of us making some money. And listen, what I wouldn't do for Torah. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to do that, and then somebody else is going to say, hey, wow, I also need a Pidyon. And then he's going to come to me, and I'll have another mitzvah to do. And because one mitzvah drags along another mitzvah. If somebody wants to borrow something, let's say somebody borrows my pen. So I lend it to the guy. I'm doing a mitzvah by lending it to him. Then somebody else says, oh, I need that also. So you lend it to him. So now I've got the mitzvah. That just happens that way. I told you, if you go to shul in the morning, so on your way driving to shul, so all of a sudden somebody needs a ride. So you give a guy a ride. So you did a mitzvah over there. Then you get to shul, and while you're in shul, you put in your tefillin, then some guy comes around collecting money, and you happen to do that mitzvah, none of which you would do if you weren't in shul. And then on the way home, somebody else asks for a ride, and he also collects money for something. You give him money. Then you get home and you swear you're never going to shul again because it's costing you too much. But that's a side. But one mitzvah, a mitzvah happens to drag along another mitzvah. But there's also, now listen to this. This is Rabbi Volozhin says this is unbelievable. Schar mitzvah, the reward of a mitzvah is a mitzvah. And what that means is, when you do a mitzvah, it doesn't matter what you pick a mitzvah, any mitzvah. It doesn't matter what mitzvah you do. It could be the mitzvah you put on tefillin this morning. Now when you put on tefillin, you get reward. God gives reward for every mitzvah. Every avera has consequences. Every mitzvah gets rewarded. God, what do we know about God? There's only, when people say, what is God? What's the essence of God? We only know what God has told us. And all God has told us about himself is, does anybody know? Hatov u'meitiv. God is good and he bestows good. When I do a mitzvah or you do a mitzvah, you now earn reward. That means you've allowed God to reward you. That idea, that act that you have done, which allows God to reward you, by allowing God to reward you, so to speak, by creating a situation where God rewards you, him rewarding you is by definition a mitzvah. Because you have created a situation where God is bestowing his good. Well, allowing God to bestow the good is itself a mitzvah. So now you're going to get a mitzvah. You get rewarded now for allowing God to reward you. Well, when you get rewarded for allowing God to reward you, that itself becomes a mitzvah. So guess what's going to happen? Now you get more reward. Imagine your wife, if you're married, your wife and you're first married, and she wants to demonstrate her baking skills. So your wife makes some brownies. So you eat a brownie, and it's good, and it's actually good. And so you say, well, wow, that's really good. So she's so happy, what's she going to do? You bake you more brownies. And then you eat more brownies, you say, wow, that was really good. And what's she going to do? Then she's going to start baking something else. Because, well, you're giving her the opportunity, you understand, it's a rough example. Till you crack a tooth on one thing she bakes, then that ends. And then, but she tries. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu don't crack teeth with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So mitzvah goreret mitzvah means it's an endless cycle of reward for every mitzvah that we do. That means every mitzvah is eternal. The reward for every mitzvah is eternal. Mitzvah goreret, it's a mitzvah to be rewarded by God. My favorite mitzvah. It's like when your favorite mitzvah is tasting food on Erev Shabbos. How's that for a mitzvah? All right, twist my arm. I'll have some hot potato kugel. Okay. And you're actually doing a mitzvah. And then because your wife sees you enjoys, she gives you another piece of potato kugel. Then you swipe a third one. Right? And that's the one that really tastes good, but that you don't get rewarded for. You understand it's an endless cycle. That's what the rings represent. The rings represent the endless reward, and the mitzvah that is the biggest mitzvah is Torah study. So Torah study is going to have the endless reward in the world to come. Now, what goes in the rings? There, so we got posted 4 lines from the Vav. This is a badei atzei shitim. Vitzipiso some zahav. You're going to coat them with gold. Ve'veses abadim batabos al tzalos aron l'seises aron bahem. You put them through the poles. Now these badim, if you look in the picture, they look like Q-tips. They're wider at the end, and they would insert them, and then they would never come out. Now the ends obviously serve the function that they can't come out, just easily come out. But They have to be put in, and look at the command of the Torah. Maybe we could open the door over there. Barely a place that feels like a sauna. It says, "B'tabos ha'aron yi'abadim." In the rings shall be the badim. Lo yasuru mimenu. They must not be removed. Now, I think we mentioned last week that this is actually codified as one of the 365 prohibitions of the Torah. There are 365 prohibitions. One of the prohibitions is this pasuk, 2 lines from the bottom. Lo yasuru mimenu. One is not allowed to remove the poles from the Aron Kodesh. You can't take those poles out. I told you, if you happen to be walking past the Temple Mount when the Beis HaMikdash is standing and we have the Aron Kodesh is there, and you're walking past the Temple Mount and you get the sudden urge to run in and rip the poles out of the Aron Kodesh, don't. You have to restrain yourself. Do not rip the poles out of the Aron Kodesh. Now, why are the Torah telling us that? How many people do you think have that temptation? You have that temptation? You just can't. It's one of those things. Some guys smoke and some guys rip poles out of their own kodesh. It's just one of those things. They've done studies, by the way. It's bad for you. And that's ripping the poles out of your own kodesh. Why would the Torah tell you that? Honestly, who's going to rip the poles out? Lo yasur menu should never be taken out. So the basic idea here is the Torah is obviously trying to communicate. What is the function of the poles for an Aron Kodesh? What do? They carry it, meaning what? If the Aron Kodesh is Torah, what do you think the poles support? The poles, I just gave it away. What do the poles represent? The support system of Torah, which means what? You guys should know because you did it a couple weeks ago. Money? Yeah, there you go. There you go. The support system for Torah. Guys are learning in Kollel, somebody's supporting them. Guys are learning in yeshiva, somebody supports them. In every yeshiva, there's every day school in the country, there's fundraising. Jews live on fundraising. In the Torah, for people who study Torah, there are people who support them. So the Torah is saying over here, they must not be removed. That means those who support Torah should not remove their support from Torah, because all through Jewish history, that's what keeps us surviving, is the study of Torah. And the people who study Torah, not only lo yasur mimenu in this world, if you support Torah, you will not be separated from the learners in the world to come either. That means there's a partnership. There's the Yisachar Zvulun partnership. There are those who learn Torah, those who support it. And it's not only the financial support of Torah, if for women support their husbands in learning Torah. How do they support their husbands? Okay, so some women work. Some women don't work because their father's got money, so they don't have to work. That's also considered support. You get yourself a sugar daddy, but that's not the point. The point is, how does a wife support her husband when he's learning? A wife has to encourage her husband. A wife has to be a partner in the value of the Torah. How much is Torah worth? Torah, what it brings into the home. So over here, the Torah is talking about lo yasuru mimenu. It should not be removed. That those who support Torah should never remove the support, whether it's financial, whether it's encouraging, and so on and so forth. What's the idea here? So there's an interesting Gemara. The Gemara says that the Aron Kodesh was in the Holy of... Now listen to this Gemara. The Aron Kodesh was in the Holy of Holies. You know that it says that the manna came down. What did the manna taste like? Whatever you wanted. Everybody's got, whatever you wanted. Yeah. A ribeye steak, yeah. And then not only that, according to some of the commentators, it even had the texture. What didn't it taste like? Pork? Doesn't say that anywhere. Theoretically, a guy once asked me if they cut, I forgot what it was, some sort of type of food that they market that looks like pork. Is it prohibited to eat it? I think they have kosher bacon nowadays. Yeah, kosher bacon. Yeah. What do they call? Fakin? That's what they call it. Bacon. They call it bacon. The kosher. No, it's not real bacon. It's macon. Macon is kosher bacon. At least in South Africa, Baruch Hashem. Yeah, and you could have a fake cheeseburger nowadays. You could have pizza with pepperoni, fake pepperoni. You got all that. Hopefully, it's fake. Wow, it tastes pretty good. That's not bad for fake pepperoni. Yeah, well, you got faked out now. Gehenna for you. The idea is that's not prohibited. What didn't the mun taste like? What? Bread? It's like any bread you want. I'll have a Kaiser roll. Some anything you wanted. It did not taste like onions. What do you call it? Garlic. There are 5 things that nursing mothers, it's bad for the baby. It's bad for the baby because what the mother eats, the baby tastes. The Gemara says a baby who nurses by the mother it got all different tastes. And I've seen it. When a mother eats any of these things, sometimes she forgets or sometimes she doesn't notice there was some garlic and thing, the baby gets all cramped up. The baby's got cramps and it hurts. There's certain foods, I think, maybe cabbage, certain things, which cause it to, and the baby's very uncomfortable. So the Gemara says that the mun could taste like anything you want except those 5 things. Why did it have all those tastes? Why did the mun have all those tastes? What was the idea of the mun having? What was having you could have, instead of a chocolate sundae, you have a chocolate Monday, because the mun tastes like. Why? What was it? It was so that the people in the desert could just indulge all of their fantasy, all their food fantasies. Was that the point? It wasn't. The Torah was trying to communicate an idea. Who ate the mun? It was for the generation of people who were in the desert studying Torah. That means Torah itself carries all the pleasures. Torah itself has all the flavors of life. If a person's connected to the Torah lifestyle, then the mun represents the idea that it's got all the enjoyment and all play. We're not lacking anything. We're not lacking anything. Okay, certain foods. The Gemara says that every forbidden food has a kosher. Every forbidden food has a kosher counterpart. The Gemara says if a person wants to taste, pork. There's a certain fish, and the brains of this fish taste like pork. I've never had it. It doesn't really tempt me, and I'm not that curious. And if then what the word says, if somebody wanted to eat meat with milk, so they gave them the udders of the cow. That's where the milk passed through. So it's got some sort of counterpart. So what was the goal over here? What was the idea is that a person living a Torah life, it's got all the flavor of the taste. Why am I bringing this up? The Gemara says that Aron Kodesh was inside the Holy of Holies. There was a curtain. And all they saw against this curtain were the 2 poles poking against the curtain, which looked exactly like the upper part of a woman's anatomy, poking against the curtain. What do you think what was the symbolism there? What was the idea there? The idea there is that the Torah, the same way that a mother nurses her child, and that's the most basic survival and nutrition for a child. The Torah, which is in the Aron Kodesh, which is in the Holy of Holies, is poking against, the poles are poking against it, represent the fact that the Torah is our source of nutrition. The Torah is our basic nutrition. Studying Torah, learning Torah, Torah life, that's our basic nutrition, spiritual nutrition. Spiritual Gerbers, right? You become the Gerber's baby. A guy comes to Ohr Somayach, you can now, didn't they have a contest once for the Gerber's baby? The baby was there for about 15 or 20 years or something. Yeah, what happened? That slow development or something, same baby. And then they switch it, now they got a new Gerber's baby. Somehow I don't think they picked some kid from Mayasharim with payas. Hello, I'm the Gerber's mun baby, the mun Gerber. But whatever it is, the Torah is teaching you that the basic nutrition, just like that's what the idea is. And the poles represent A, nutrition, B, support. C, it represents the idea that one day the Aron Kodesh may have to be taken away. That's why the poles are still there. It may be taken away, meaning what? What's it teaching us? If the Aron Kodesh has to be taken away, what does that teach us? What does that teach us, that the Aron Kodesh may have to be taken away? The poles never should be detached because the Aron Kodesh may have to be taken away. What does it teach us? That one day the Torah may leave. The Torah may leave the Beis Hamikdash. It may be moved somewhere else. But wherever it is, Torah applies. There's no such thing as, well, we're not in Israel, we're not with the Beis Hamikdash, therefore the Torah no longer applies. No matter where the Aron Kodesh goes, the Torah is going to apply. Okay, now take a look what's on top of it. Ve'asisa kapora zahav tahor. Andrew just made a calculation, by the way, of the gold based on minimal estimations of how much a tefach and an amma is. Andrew made a calculation of the 2 boxes plus the kaporas with the kruvim on it, and it comes out in gold to about $790 million? $712 million based on the price of the gold ounce now.
It's 29 tons.
29 tons, which you're now going to carry with 2 poles made out of what do you call it? Hey guys, be careful with that. Will you put it down slowly? Will you? Ow! so somehow I don't think so, and that's why the Gemara says that the Aron was nosei es nosav. The Aron carried those that carried it. It looked like the Kohanim were carrying the Aron Kodesh, and not only that, the Aron Kodesh was actually carrying them. I hate to use this example, but those of you who are, and maybe Jeremy, you heard about the Flintstones.
Oh yeah.
You remember how they'd be running? Did you see the Flintstones? How they'd be running, but they're not really running in it. When in their car, they're running in air. That's always what I thought. That's what television, is so educational television. Every time someone turned one on, I went to another room and read a book. So that's about how educational television is. Yeah, remember the Flintstones? I didn't, by the way. Remember the Flintstones? Yeah. So the Aron Kodesh carried those that carried it. Now, what does that mean when it comes to Torah support? What does it mean when it comes to Torah support? Who's supporting whom?
The Torah supports the Jew.
The Torah support, the money supports the people who are learning? Meaning what? People are learning are supporting the people who give the money. That means, what's their connection? The person who's making money, what's his connection to the mitzvah, to the spiritual world? You got to do something with your life. So the guy learning Torah, by him supporting him and by giving him the money, he's really supporting him. That's the illusion. It looks like the Kohanim are carrying their own Kodesh, but who's really carrying their own Kodesh is carrying them. The people learning Torah are carrying the supporters. A guy once came to Rav Shteyman, he said, why do we need so many guys learning in Kollel? Why do we need so many people studying Torah? A very wealthy man. So Rav Shteyman said to him, why do we need so many millionaires? There are a lot of rich Jews today, much more than there used to be. A lot of rich Jews. Today, we don't talk in terms of millionaires anymore. Today we're talking in terms of billionaires. There are from billionaires. So Shteyman said to, why do we need so many rich Jews? He said, maybe if we have less people learning Torah, we'll have less millionaires. The guy gave money. The guy immediately wrote out a check. He didn't like that. He didn't like where this was going. That means look now, when you fundraise, often people will say, listen, I am giving you the opportunity to support Torah, which is true. I don't know how well it works in fundraising though. And the guy says, well, don't do me any favors. I don't know how that works. Baruch Hashem, I've never fundraised for that. You got to be fundraiser. You got to be very thick-skinned to be a fundraiser. You have to be very, very thick-skinned. You have to be willing to have doors slammed in your face and people unpleasant and people tell you what they think of your lifestyle. It's a rough thing. I'm not thick-skinned. I would just sit down. If I walked in, knocked on the door and he'd slam the door, I would just sit on the front step and cry. I would just cry. So you got to be very. The Panovich Rav said that when he built the Panovich Yeshiva. He said when he used to go fundraising, he had 2 big bags. He had 2 bags with him. The little bag was for the checks. The big bag was for the insults. So you have to be. It's a rough business. But what is true is true, and what's true is that the people who are learning Torah are carrying the people who are supporting Torah, as opposed to not vice versa. Yeah, go ahead, question.
In practical terms, we hear that a lot, could be here, it could be also extremists like Meishar.
What's the question? What's the
army?
What's the question? Ask me a question.
He's protecting Israel, but I don't know how do we apply
in
this
practical good,
exactly
yes.
how that works?
Exactly how it works, I'm not allowed to tell you. I can tell you how it works. What the way it works is, yes, it's a very important point you're bringing up. People say, what if everybody was studying Torah? I've never heard that question asked about any other field. Like, what if everybody became accountants? We wouldn't have any doctors. My goodness, so nobody should be an accountant because we might not have doctors. What if everybody became an electrician? Then we wouldn't have accountants. So I guess nobody should become an electrician. What if everybody became a doctor? We wouldn't have any lawyers. So I guess everybody should become doctors. So, there's no end to it. What if everybody was studying Torah? But is everybody studying Torah right now? Is that a threat any more than anything else? Everybody's got a role in the Jewish people, if you're capable of that. So the Gemara says, Omdos hayu ragleinu bisharayach Yerushalayim. What allowed us to stand firm in Yerushalayim was the Torah that was being studied. Yes, they had to go to war. Yes, Dovid HaMelech fought wars. Yes, there was a standing army for the Jewish people. Did it look like today's army? Was it run by secular people? No, it wasn't. It was a Torah. What it would be if there was a Sanhedrin and a Torah. So then, we hopefully we'll see that very soon. We don't have an answer. We have to deal with the reality on the ground right now. Is there a threat right now that there won't be an army in Israel? No, there's no threat because there are people who are in the army. Are there people who avoid army service without any good reason? Yes, there are lots of people who manage what they call jobnikim, that the upper class who manage to get their kids out of the army. Yeah, there are plenty of those. You don't hear so much negativity there. You only hear the negativity about the people studying Torah, where we believe that the Torah, that we know and believe that the Torah protects the survival of the Jewish people. Somebody who doesn't, anytime I tell you guys a rule in life, if somebody says to you, for example, somebody says to me, why don't frum guys go to the army? Why do frum people not drive on Shabbos? My response to that is always, are you asking from a Torah perspective or from a secular perspective? Let's identify what we're doing. Why don't frum guys go to the army? Are you asking me from a secular perspective or from a Torah perspective? So first tell me that. You want to know from a secular perspective? Because from a secular perspective, everybody does what's best for him. From a secular perspective, there are no rules. You make your own rules. From a secular perspective, because secular philosophy at the end of the day boils down to everybody lives for himself. So if it's best for me to counterfeit money, and I'm willing to take that chance, and I don't think it's, I'll risk it, so I'll counterfeit money, because that's the secular perspective. Secular perspective is because I just don't feel like it. I don't go to the army because I don't feel like it, because secular philosophy, the secular lifestyle, you do what you feel like and you don't do what you don't feel like. And if you decide it's okay for a person to behave immorally, or for a person to do drugs, or for a person to do anything else from a secular perspective, who's to tell me that I'm wrong? That's your value. This is my value from a secular perspective. So if you're asking me from a secular perspective, so why don't I go to the army? Why should I go to the army? It's very inconvenient. That's my answer from a secular perspective. No, you mean a Torah perspective? A Torah perspective is a completely different set of rules. From a Torah perspective, we have to take into account immorality in the army. We have to take into account abortions in the army. We have to take into account the waste of time in the army that I could be using productively for studying Torah. It's a completely different value system. How can you possibly answer? It's not two value systems. If a person says, how come you have a mechitza in your shul? Why can't men and women sit together in the shul? Are you asking me from a secular perspective or from a Torah perspective? From a secular perspective, you're absolutely right. They should sit together in the shul. They can do whatever they want together, and they do whatever they want together, whether they're married or not. That's from a secular perspective. From a secular perspective, I don't think immorality is wrong. Fine, that's a secular perspective. But you're asking me from a Torah perspective, why do we have a mechitza? Because we have rules in Torah. One of the rules is that men and women are not allowed to have any sort of physical contact before marriage. And therefore the mechitza, among other things, and all the segregation that we see in the Torah is because we believe that immorality in living together before marriage is it violates the Torah law. And therefore we take precautions against it. But I don't think that's wrong. Yeah, but you don't think it's wrong from a secular perspective. You asked me about a Torah perspective, not the secular perspective. From a Torah perspective or a secular? If it's from a secular perspective, you're right. How come you're not allowed to mix meat and milk? I think that's silly. You mean from a secular perspective? That's always the response. So when people ask about the army, it's a very difficult discussion because many times people are asking from a secular perspective, and that's one of the problems we have in Israel today, because you have what's basically an unbridgeable gap. Because you have people living by secular values and you have people living by Torah values. And the only way to understand a Torah, and remember, the person living with secular values doesn't have any real restrictions. Torah Jews have restrictions because we're living by Torah law. You understand? It's a very, very tricky thing. So the answer is we know that Torah protects the Jewish people. We also know that the Jewish people, at the time of Dovid HaMelech, they fought wars. What would be today when people say, well, why don't they just make a kosher branch of the army for yeshiva boys and that sort of thing? You know, we don't have that ability to tell the army what to do. If the army would create a situation like that, and if we had a guarantee that they would abide by the rules, if, then it could be, but so far we haven't seen that. And we don't have the leverage because we don't run the army, they do. You know, I would like to be a general in the army. You know, so far, yeah. Listen, there's some great perks. You know, but so far they haven't allowed me. They haven't accepted my application. You know, I say, yeah, it doesn't work that way. Oh, I'm here. I'm a colonel. No, you're not. You know, back to Ohr Somayach with you. Spend a little more time in Mechina, then we'll talk. You know, so I say it doesn't. You're talking about from two completely different worldviews. So you always have to identify which worldview, which view are you coming from. Okay, now let me just explain to you very quickly. We're going to do the Pidyon haben now. Start it, don't start it, whatever you do. Tyler and I are going to do the first Pidyon haben. Normally we would be doing them together, but because I have to leave very quickly because I have an appointment to go sign my life away for my son-in-law's mortgage, so then I have to, and that's why I'm doing the Pidyon haben. It's just on time because that'll help me financially. You see, the way the Pidyon haben works is like this. I am a Kohen. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. Yeah, thank you. And anybody else here a Kohen? Yeah. Well, I'm doing the Pidyon, guys. You guys can watch. Now, read them and weep. Now, what's going to happen is Tyler has wisely decided and very admirably decided that he wants to do fulfill a Torah command, the Mitzvah d'oraisa of redeeming himself. Normally, parents redeem the baby. Parents redeem the child. And the way the redemption works is it's a whole ceremony. They bring the child in on a tray. Tyler, don't worry, we're not putting you on a tray. The parents redeem the child, and it's done with a tray, and they bring the child in. Now, as the Kohen, the halacha is that the father of the child, or once he becomes bar mitzvah, if he has not been redeemed, then the person himself has to give a Kohen the equivalent of 100 grams of silver. 100 grams of silver, which is worth about 297 shekels today. So we round up because I'm a Kohen, and we make it 300. And what happens is I have over here coins. These are pure silver coins. This is relax, it's not that much. I didn't say gold. And these are just punched out of, this is just punched out of a sheet of silver. And this is a silver slug, just pure silver slug. And these are also silver Israeli commemoration coins of something or other. And these are all silver coins. Now, I use a little bit more than 100 because there's alloy in here. And we want to make sure that there's 100 grams. So I'm going to be giving Tyler about 8 coins over here. And what's going to happen, I'm not giving it to him. What's going to happen is, and we could even begin the ceremony now, I have 2, 4, 6, 8 coins, which is well over 100 grams of silver. So you're getting a bargain today. Now what's going to happen is, Tyler's going to come over here. Okay, everybody, this is a Tyler. And there you go. Now Tyler is going to do a Mitzvah Saseh d'oraisa. And the Mitzvah Saseh, does anybody have the art scroll with the... we bring the art scroll. And what's normally...
Art scroll's Kiddush Cup.
The Art Scroll Kiddush Cup. Yeah, there we go. Now, what's going to happen is like this. Tyler is I'm going to sell Tyler the coins, which we're going to do right now. I'm going to sell Tyler these silver coins. Do you have the page of the thing? Okay, this is the preliminary. Now watch, you have the 300 shekels with you. Huh? Of course. Okay, now watch this. I am selling Tyler these coins. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to take this silver, now pick it up and make a Pidyon. Pick it up, you've acquired it. Okay, he has now acquired these coins. These coins belong to him. This 300 shekels belongs to me. Now, I have acquired it. And this 300 shekels now gets folded and put in my pocket. And as it says by the Egyptians at the sea, Moshe said to the Jews, Hashem said, as you see them today, you will never see them again. So that is what's going to happen to this money over here. Now, there are those that ask me if I'm going to give the money to tzedakah. And my answer is, I don't ask you what you do with your income, and there's no reason for you to ask me what I do with my income. If I'm in a good mood, I will give 10%. If I'm in a better mood, I'll give 20%. And the rest I'm going to keep. Now, that is my parnasa. And that's why I'm going to use it for the mortgage. Now, the
So you have to pay income tax.
let me do this, okay? Let me do it. Okay, there's a reason you're not a Kohen. No, what's going to happen over here is normally there is a give and take between the father and the son when it's a baby involved. The father says the Kohen says to the father, "Would you rather give me your son or give me the 5 silver pieces?" It's not really an option. It's just a way of showing the father how beloved his son is to him. Now, what Tyler is going to do, now that he owns these coins, he has a choice. You could keep it and you could walk right now, or you could redeem yourself by giving me those coins. Okay, those are your, no peer pressure, guys. Yeah, okay. Now, no, we want him to do it. Now, normally, where's the Pidyon haben over here? 218. Page 218. Okay, yeah, that's where there's the give and take between the fathers. Since that's not going to be happening over here, Tyler, do you prepare? I mean, theoretically, I'd be saying, do you prepare to give me yourself or to give me the money? But we don't do that when it's somebody who's an adult. Tyler is now going to make 2 brachas. You're going to make this first bracha, which says Al Pidyon haben, but you're going to say Al Pidyon habechor, not Al Pidyon haben. You'll say the last word instead of haben, you'll say habechor, because you're the firstborn. Then you are going to make a shehechiyanu bracha, which is the blessing that you make, because then I will give you a bracha, and then I will make a bracha on the wine. I will take a sip, and you'll drink the rest of it. Okay, are you good with wine?
Sure, we can do wine.
I think you're okay with it. Yeah, okay. Now, everybody get ready. He is about to fulfill a mitzvah saseh deoraisa, a Torah command. Say very loud, make this bracha one at a time. Then, as soon as you finish that bracha, you will give me the money.
Okay. The first, both?
Both of them, then you will give me the money. Okay, so say out loud.
You might have to help me with the blessing.
With the blessing? Okay, Baruch,
Ata,
Ado,
Adonai,
Elo,
Elcheinu,
Melech, Ha'olam, Asher,
Kiddushanu,
B'mitzvosov,
Fotav,
V'tzivanu,
Tivanu,
Al, Pidyon habechor.
Pidyon habichor.
Amen. Now we're going to do this bracha. Baruch,
Ata Adonai, Elcheinu melech haolam,
Shehecheyanu, V'kiyamanu,
Lechianu,
V'higianu,
Lechianu,
L'zman hazeh.
Lizman hazeh.
Amen.
Now you give this to me, 1 second.
There he is.
Now, Zeh tachas zeh, zeh chiluv zeh, zeh mochel al zeh, v'ikone zeh ha-bechor, l'chayim, l'torah, l'yira shemayim. Yehi ratzon, shekeshem shenichnas l'pidyon, ken ikones l'torah, u'lechupa, u'lemaisim tovim. Amen. Now I'm going to give you a bracha.
That one's free.
Yisimcha leim k'Ephraim v'chemenashe, yivrechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai pana v'elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai pana v'elecha v'yasem l'cha shalom. Ki orech yamim u'shnos chayim v'shalom yosifu lach, Adonai yishmercha me'ikora yishmares nafshecha. Now I'm going to make a bracha, and you're going to drink the rest of it.
Okay.
Savri, Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, b'irei pri hagafen.
All right.
Now make a bracha, make a b'irei pri hagafen.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, b'rei pri hagafen.
Amen. Now knock it down. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Simon tov, oh mazel tov, oh mazel tov. Yay, lanu.
תודה.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. I'll try to come back for the. I'm going to try. I have to go. I'm going to try to come back for the celebration if I'm able to.
You get the bigger mazel tov.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. I got the money, by the way. The guy mentioned to his wife about a get, and also she became more reasonable. Now she's talking about coming to Israel, get reconciling it. He said, all right, then we'll go for the get. And then all of a sudden I got an email from him. She said, no, maybe I think, no, He may contact you. I gave him your...
I hope you still like me.
You're good, Zavi. Oh, man. Oof. Okay, I got to book out of here. I gotta go. Good. Amen. Yeah, robbing it and signing it.
לא משנה, there's no difference.